Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Are You Effing Serious? I'm your boy Tex, and with me always is my sidekick, my main man, and my co-host, my man JC from Jersey.
How's everybody doing? Hope you guys are having a good time. We're getting ready to do some news for you.
Yes, we are. We got some really good stories, that we want to talk about today, but we also have some, things that were sent in, so we want to go ahead and try to reach out to those as well. So the first thing that we want to go ahead and talk about is in the music industry and music news, Afro Man. Now, I'm sure a lot of people remember Afro Man from the song, Because I Got High. Da, 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 da. Love it. It was an awesome song, stayed on the charts, stayed on the radio for a lot of weeks. Pretty good song. The rest of the album was actually pretty good. A lot of people don't know that. Very talented artist representing Palmdale, California.
Cool.
So, the reason why he's in the news this week is because he actually knocked out a fan while he was performing in Mississippi.
What
now, I just want, Are you, yeah. Are you effing serious?
That's another show, folks, but yeah.
I mean, now here's the thing. You are a celebrity, you know what I'm saying? Not only that, you're performing on stage. Now, I don't know who this chick was, because I saw the video. I don't know who this chick was, but the way he hit her is like, you felt like he owed her, like she owed him money or something. Like there was something personal between them two.
If you haven't seen the tape, it looks like a Mike Tyson fight from the 80s. It was like, and she went down like a ton of bricks.
He was just like, just playing, like he was all into his guitar solo, just jamming. And then it was like,
boom.
This bitch still owe me money. And he just fucking, pow, just clocked her, knocked her slam out. And then he went back to playing the guitar like nothing happened. So he's playing, and then she just gets up and she's just looking around stunned like she didn't know what just the fuck happened. It's like, bitch, you just got knocked the fuck out. And then you see this guy getting on stage, and by that time I had to stop watching the video. But it's like, Afro Man, are you serious? Are you effing serious? You cannot hit people like that in public. That is the quickest way for you to go to jail.
Come on, bro. You're a black dude in Mississippi hitting a white woman. Are you crazy?
I'm surprised you didn't get lynched. Again, if you were not a celebrity, I don't think you could have got away with that. Again, hitting women is wrong. Do not do that.
Nope.
There are better ways to do things and handle things, but especially, he looked like I don't like to speculate on drug use of any kind. But he did look like he was on something really good, though. Maybe she was, just, blowing his trip or something like that. Maybe that's what happened.
He was all spaced out, and what did he think? She was an angry bird?
Maybe. I don't know. It was crazy. All right. So the next topic that we have, the next story, is that Ricky Martin and Simon Cowell have actually teamed up because they are actually looking to find the Latino One Direction.
Oh, yeah. As we would say in Puerto Rico, oye, papi. What the hell? Who cares? Who cares about One Direction Latino style? I don't give a fuck. And I am a Latino. And so are you. Fuck that.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what we have to look at. Now, Ricky Martin, really became famous as a member of the group Menudo.
Yes.
And Menudo has basically been around for like years. Like when I was a kid, I think they were in like the third transition of Menudo. Mm-hmm. And essentially, for those that don't know, Menudo is it's a Latino boy group. And essentially, every couple years, some of their members age out. And so they have to replace them. Yeah. But they've essentially been like the Latino new kids on the block since like the early 80s. Yeah. And like I said, during one of the transition, Ricky Martin was one of the members. And like even after he's left, there's been others. Now, I personally haven't heard anything recently from Menudo, but I remember like when I was growing up, the biggest like song was a song like Menudo Says was like the biggest like song out there. So for them to go ahead and basically try to find, the Latino One Direction, I think is kind of messed up because essentially all he's trying to do is just find another Menudo.
Or a Latino, whatchamacallit? What was the group Bobby Brown? Was it?
New Edition.
New Edition, the Latino New Edition, the same thing.
Well, and again, they're all based off, the same, concept. New Edition, Bobby Brown, Menudo. Actually, not Bobby Brown. New Edition, New Kids on the Block, Menudo. Because the thing is, Maurice Starr, was essential in the formation of New Kids on the Block and Menudo. So again, they definitely have that correlation there. But again, the formula of putting together, young men in order to form music groups is not, new. Because again,
not at all.
I don't remember his name right now, but the guy that basically put together NSYNC.
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, exactly. Also did
98
Backstreet Boys.
Degrees, everything.
Exactly. So again, it's definitely a formula. I myself, was part of an R&B group, at one point in time, and I know that we were actually looking to the actual incorporation of, a boy band in regards to bringing in other members and trying to do more. And actually, I guess I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I've kind of recently been reached out to in regards to something similar. Basically, taking part of or being part of a boy band. And, I'm considering it. We're going to see how, of course, the TV show goes because this is where we want the bread and butter to be. But, it's definitely, again, my concern more is not so much as far as the group angle. It's more in regards and along the lines of because Ricky, coming out so recently, what I'm saying, in regards to being, homosexual, I wonder, because of also the trends and the rates, that show of, abuse and homosexuality in boy bands as a whole.
Yeah.
And all these different groups, and especially with all the different allegations in Menudo. We want to. I want to ask Ricky, how are you going to make sure that your group is not going to be that? Because he himself has came out with different allegations and stories and things of that of his time in Menudo. And so while I don't want to get onto those, it's the matter of I want to know what is going to make Ricky's and Simon's group any different from anyone else. Aside from the fact that they're all Latino, like I said, in my mind, that's just going to make them another Menudo. What is going to make this group different from anyone else?
Maybe Simon Cowell, because Simon Cowell discovered that hip El Divo, International Smash, the El Divo boy band. They do more classical, what's the other term? Adult contemporary music. They're a boy band, but they're traditional classical.
You see this face, folks? This is the face with zero fucks. Because I've never even heard the group he just mentioned.
It's an international. The thing is, it's not big in America. The only reason I know is because I know international music.
And
the
thing
even
is,
like international music.
Maybe. And again, having, consider myself to listen to, all types of genres and types of music, international and abroad, I consider myself to be very well-rounded, very well-versed. So for you to bring up a group that I've never heard of, makes me feel ignorant. So
I didn't mean to do that.
No, it's quite all right. So I definitely want to make sure I do my research. But again, it's like you just said. You're saying that he founded this international sensation, and I've never heard of him.
He's living off the residuals right now. He's a successful man.
So again, aside from that fact, of course, maybe he's known for doing everything overseas, and so again, we want to make sure what is going to be across the pond because, like I said, this is what's news that we're breaking here. So if we're breaking these news here, I consider Ricky Martin to be an American. Simon Cowell, he might not be from here, but because right now and most recently he's been doing a lot of his work here, I want to see what's going on, and what he does.
Definitely.
So I'm definitely interested to see what's going on. What age group do you think these guys are going to be in? You think they're going to be like young boys, or you think they're going to be, closer to adults?
I think it has to be 21 and under for that pop boy band thing to really take off. Because guys our age in boy bands, no. It's not. That's not. I don't care how sexy you think you are. If you're in your 30s and in a boy band, first of all, I got gray hair on my head. I'm not a boy.
You got to think about it. It worked for NSYNC, for a very long time.
But they weren't in their 30s when they were still touring.
You also have to understand that it comes to the point when you have to turn from a boy band into an actual group. And, because there were groups like Full Force, Force MDs, not Force MDs.
Even the Jacksons.
Yeah, I
made that transition.
That was my point. Smokey Robinson, The Miracles. There was a lot of groups, the Four Tops, Temptations, a lot of groups that had grown men singing together that were famous, the Shy-Lights. And so, again, Ricky, Simon, please, when you put these, men together, if you're looking for them to be together in the long haul, at least for the long, term, you want to make sure that they are able to, make that transition from young singers into adult singers. Because with what's going out here and what we're seeing, because I remember, Chris Brown, as a young man, as compared to now. you know, along with, you know, some of these other, you know, entertainers that we have. And we want to make sure that what we're putting out there and, you know, what's going to keep continuing and trending is going to be in a positive way and not in this negative way.
Always. You always
know,
want positivity.
You know, I hate to say it, every group, you know, always seems to have that bad boy. I remember, you know, for Backstreet it was AJ, Bobby was it for New Edition. You know, everybody has the bad boy, like Donnie and New
Michael
Kids.
and the Jacksons, the
Right.
bad boy that stands out.
So you want to make sure that, you know, you have just, if anything, one bad boy, and that, again, that it's only an image and not, you know, a complete persona.
Absolutely. Moving on.
So we are going to go ahead and jump into some of the things that are in the news and entertainment industry right now that are definitely, you know, out there. One of the things for me personally that I am taking great umbrage and offense with is that the state of Colorado is currently being sued by Nebraska, Oklahoma, as well as being sued by Washington, D.C. And it basically, and it just in my own generalization of the topic, they're hating. And it's all have to do with weed. You have a little more information that you want to go ahead and bring out about this story?
Oh, definitely. Basically, it revolves around this. They're saying that Colorado fostered an environment that's negative.
Okay.
It's causing other states to have traffic problems, drug problems, too many issues with needing more police, and is bringing down the property values. And I don't know if I agree with it. I'm not there. Could I see the argument? Yes. Is it really going to damage your state if you're next to them? It could, but you're just trying it out. It's only been a year. Give it some time before you start complaining. It's only been 1 year. I could see if it was a decade. It's 1 year. Are you guys jealous that they're rich now? You could do the same shit too.
You could.
You could legalize it. DC is going to sue because it's against our laws. Weed is illegal in this country. They decided, well, fuck that. We're doing it our way. Just like gay marriage. Some states have gay marriage, some states don't.
I mean, again, you know, this is basically, you know, at least for me, it's a non-starter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, there shouldn't be any fucks, you know, at all given to this. But if I have to give some...
Zero?
Well, no. If I have to give some, I got to give 2 fucks to this right here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because as a state, for them to go ahead and realize that, you know, there's a problem, let's go ahead and make a positive change, you know, in regards to trying to see if it can better our society.
Yeah.
Not only has it made the state better, okay, yeah, you got some haters out there. Again, sour grapes. It's like, you know what? Fuck you, Nebraska. Fuck you, Oklahoma. I'm going to do what I need to do for my state and to go ahead and make it better. Now, here's the thing. It's not my fault that people want to come to Colorado to go ahead and do what they need to do in regards to getting smoked, where they're not going to be penalized harshly for something that, you know what I'm saying, doesn't kill people. You don't overdose on it. Mm-hmm. And the fact is, by the government being able to tax on it, they're able to sustain their, you know, economy. I think that's a wonderful thing. If anything, I think that everybody should be taking a lesson from this page. If anything, allowing them an opportunity. Maybe another 2 or 3 years, maybe a 3-year total, you know, opportunity to go ahead and show what could be done if done properly. You know what I'm saying? If anything, I think Washington should be, you know, if anything, stepping in to hand out maybe mandates in regards to how it should be run. Mm-hmm. But I don't think you should stop them from doing it, because the only reason why that weed is illegal is because essentially when our forefathers realized all the possibilities that could be taken from hemp, you know, as opposed to cutting down trees to make paper, you know, they started to do that. But when they started to do that, chemical companies, lumber companies started losing money.
Yeah.
Advertising companies started losing money. And so they wanted to go ahead and make it so that hemp was illegal. And so that's how we've ended up into this point now. So we have to look at, we've grown now. We have done medical research. We understand that marijuana is not just a drug, but it's also used in medicinal purposes. I mean, because if you can make the platform for cocaine, I mean, the way, I hate to say it, I mean, and maybe I'm just that one lone motherfucker that's just ignorant. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to throw this out here. Alcohol is legal.
Yes.
And for so long, people fought to make it illegal. But essentially, as a whole, alcohol kills motherfuckers all the damn time because they're drinking and driving.
Yes.
But you don't outlaw alcohol. Not only that, the cocoa bean where cocaine comes from, but also you get your coffee bean. It's all in there, all same family.
They're all related.
If it's legal for Americans to go ahead and go to a 7-Eleven and basically get a cup of crack soup and drink that shit all day. They got Starbucks, you got all these different brands. And again, that's what it is. You have people that are basically, processing and stewing and using this drug. And the thing is, because the FDA hasn't recognized it or made it, so that it's harmful, that's the reason why it's okay. But if they were to say 5 years from now that, coffee gets you high and it does all this other stuff and so on and so forth, and they make it illegal, then you're going to have people, basically smuggling, drinking coffee behind everybody's back. So it's don't penalize the state for realizing an opportunity to go ahead and make the best and the most of a situation. I believe that weed should be in every state decriminalized. And I believe in the states that allow medical marijuana as a treatment for certain conditions and diseases. I believe in those states. I believe it should be legalized.
Yeah.
But again, we don't want to go ahead and talk on my soapbox about that. Moving forward, we do have some news in regards of Cuba.
That's right. The country of Cuba. Researchers have discovered a super strain of HIV.
Wow. Now, when you say super strain, for the ignorant people like myself, could you give maybe just a little more clarification of what that means?
A more powerful strain that instead of the delayed reaction to get the AIDS virus, it's much faster. You'll get the AIDS virus much more fast.
Okay.
Definitely a lot faster.
So it's like I was thinking. I'm thinking AIDS on steroids.
Basically.
Okay. Now, I think that is an amazing just theory as a whole. That one country is able to go ahead and generate this super strain. I mean, have scientists even figured out how that's possible?
No, I believe they discovered the super strain.
Okay.
In testing, so I'm not sure how they came into it. I'm surprised because Cuba claims their socialized medicine is so great. So if your socialized medicine is so great, how do you have an infection of that scale?
Well, and that's the other thing too.
Exist?
If we look at AIDS as an actual infection, then it's also the fact that if being infected, if you're able to survive with this disease for long periods of time, so on and so forth. I mean, it could be the situation. Take for an example, if you have a man that happens to get with a woman, and while he's with this woman, he cheats on her with another woman that has AIDS.
Yes.
He go ahead and comes home and he infects his wife now. So now she has AIDS. She's pregnant, gives birth to a child that has AIDS. So this child is born with AIDS. Let's just say that in the next generation that she happens to meet a man that either, we'll say for the sake of all intents and purposes, has AIDS.
Yes.
They have a child. Maybe they have a child that has AIDS, or maybe they have one that doesn't. Or maybe she meets a man, that doesn't have AIDS, and again, the same scenario. And so it's possible that maybe it could turn out that the infection gene and things of that nature, the way it processes, could be something that over time, it could either be weakened, or it could be, heightened based off, I guess, this cross-contamination, if you will.
That's a good point. It's weird because Cuba is a country where they don't really have a lot of homosexuality, and we know AIDS. A lot of people used to blame it on homosexuality exclusively. But it's really two factors. It's how much homosexuality is going on and how many times drug addicts are using dirty needles and blood is not being cleaned properly in transfers.
Okay. And we also have to look at the fact of the island as a whole.
Yes.
This is basically contained in one small area.
Yes, it is.
Of course, Haiti being on the opposite side of that island, I don't, maybe some...
All kinds of countries. Puerto Rico, Haiti.
Yeah, but I mean...
Guam.
Well, I'm just saying, at least connected on the island itself, though. So, I mean, there's a possibility, maybe, you have some intra-regional, transitions or immigrations, or even,
so?
some, well, I guess at that point it'd be interregional.
Could it be a sign of increased drug use, though? Maybe heroin use kind of.
Wonderful news. I know a lot of people are really excited about this, what we're about to talk about now. I know I'm excited, maybe not as much as a lot of other people. But we're going to be talking about the recent news that on May the 2nd, Mayweather and Pacquiao will indeed have this long-awaited bout.
The highly anticipated super fight between Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. $250 million being paid to these fighters.
$250 million
for a lightweight fight.
Are you effing serious? I can tell you right now, I don't think this fight is going to be worth the payout. It's not going to be worth watching on pay-per-view. So? No, because you have Mayweather, who is not really a fighter, but he's more of a points grabber. And then you have Pacquiao, who's more of a fighter. So essentially, you're going to have Pacquiao chasing Mayweather this whole fight. That's what's going to happen. Well, Mayweather's not going to stand his ground. He's not going to want to fight. He's not going to want to go toe-to-toe with Pacquiao because Mayweather with a record of 47-0. Perfect record.
Incredible.
With 26 knockouts.
Legendary.
But the reason why he has that is because he's been so selective with the fights he takes because he doesn't want to lose and he doesn't want to take any real chances of getting hurt or getting knocked out and tarnishing that. While you have Pacquiao with a 57-5 record with 38 knockouts who's willing to, to test his mantle against other fighters, who's willing to get knocked out, who's willing to lose in order to be better. Now, if this actually comes down to a fight, an actual boxing match between two boxers, like when I grew up watching fighters fight in the ring, if they actually throw and trade blows, Pacquiao's going to win. Because Pacquiao has the speed, he has the strength, and he has the dexterity to go the necessary rounds in order to wear down Floyd.
Okay.
The only way Floyd Mayweather is going to win this fight is if he runs and if he go ahead and he wins on points like he has with the rest of his fights.
Wow.
That's all that is.
To interject, my partner obviously doesn't think Floyd Mayweather is the complete fighter. Do I think he's a complete fighter? No. He does have a tendency to dance in the ring. And not like Ali dance and break a motherfucker. No.
Not even Roy Jones.
He likes to talk. My beef with him was back when he fought De La Hoya and he said he was going to kill De La Hoya. He didn't kill nothing. He won, but he didn't break his nose. He didn't break an orbital bone. He didn't hospitalize. No. If you're going to kill somebody, kill somebody.
Got his points. That's all he did.
Don't say you're going to kill a motherfucker and then win by points. That's boring. Even I'll agree with him on that. And I don't really like Pacquiao that much either, but Pacquiao's knocked people out. And he's exciting to watch.
I mean, he has a very, strong work ethic. He works hard. Floyd is very good at promoting himself.
He is.
But he's not a very good fighter.
He made news recently. He bought his teenage daughter a Rolls Royce. I'm just throwing that in there.
So he's an idiot too.
Well, I didn't say that, Floyd. But
I did. I mean, look, I'm not a professional boxer, but I believe that I could step into the ring with Floyd
if you had enough training.
And, I mean, I'm even with enough training or not. I mean, I've never seen the man face to face. I don't know what his stats are. I mean, I figure right now I'm 6 foot, at least 200, at least 180, 200 pounds.
He goes about 5'9", 160 pounds.
So, I mean, I figured if I were to go ahead and cut down, a little bit of weight, I mean, I figure I could step into a ring with Floyd and, go ahead and handle myself pretty well. Would I do as well as Pacquiao? I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've never, gotten to a ring with other professional fighters, to knock somebody out. But, I mean, just based off Floyd's fighting technique, knowing that he's going to run, and knowing that he's going to try to get his points, I'm going to be trying to, bring the heavy guns all the way.
I'm going to say $70 for this on pay-per-view. I don't even pay $70 for WrestleMania, and I'm a big wrestling fan.
I don't even pay $70 for shoes.
$70 for a pay-per-view, and then probably like $100 in HD. You know how it is now.
No, not going to do it.
So we're gonna move on before he kills somebody.
Like I said, I got Pacquiao winning this fight. And the thing is, if it becomes down to actual fighting, if it comes down to fighting, trading blows, I believe, it'll go to 12, maybe even, might get cut out on the 10th. But if, Floyd continues to run, he keeps his defense up, handles himself in regards for the punches, power punches that Pacquiao is going to be trying to throw, then, Floyd can win this on points. Now, the next sports story that we have is regarding it's actually an addendum to one we had earlier that we talked about Kurt Busch. Now, Kurt Busch has been suspended indefinitely from NASCAR because a judge ruled that he almost surely choked and beat a former girlfriend last fall.
So we're talking domestic abuse now.
Well, hold on. Well, see, we can't say that because apparently, according to the judge says that he almost surely feels that he choked and beat him. Now, here's my thing. Either you know or you don't know. And the thing is, the judge wasn't there, so he doesn't know. And he's saying that he's basing this based off statements made from this woman that he feels that are more reliable than Kurt Busch. Here's my thing. This guy's a professional driver, and so the thing in regards with any sport or anything at all, you have a woman who can work in a completely different environment.
Take my hat off. This is getting intense now.
But yeah, true, understand. This is last fall. This judge just made this ruling to give her an order of protection on this past Monday. So
I understand.
If I whoop your ass last fall, how are you gonna try to get an order of protection Monday?
It's fast, right? I'm surprised. I didn't know you could do that.
I mean, but the thing is, again, I believe that the only reason why this is only happening, though, is because of the recent, situation that took place in the NFL with the player knocking out his girlfriend in the elevator.
Yeah.
Because the NFL made, a stand. NASCAR feels that they have to do something. Because back in 2013, there was this guy, Travis, I don't know if I'm saying the name right. It could be Capel. It's KVAPIL. But either way, in 2013, this guy was arrested and charged with assault. And the NASCAR didn't take any action. Mm-hmm. So again, we're looking at the fact of, again, a little more than a year ago, essentially something happened. This driver's arrested, charged, and you don't do anything. But now, after the NFL has done something, you go ahead and decide, now we're going to go ahead and do something. Mm-hmm. And the other side of it is that if this happened, like she said, again, this lady's supposed to be an assassin. Mm-hmm. Based off the story we did earlier and all the, the news and everything else, if you're an assassin, because, they're talking about he was cupping her face, and she was saying that he basically was cupping her face and using his other hand to go ahead and smash her head into the wall of his motorhome or trailer home. And, it's like, it doesn't sound right. I hate to say it.
Too much.
This sounds like an ex-girlfriend that was dumped. And she basically is being vindictive. It's like, you know what? If, you're not going to be with me, I don't want you to have anything. I'm going to go ahead and say whatever I need to say, do whatever I need to do to make sure I can ruin your career just as well.
It's possible. I mean, anything is possible. Could she be mad? Could it have happened? Look, I wasn't there. I always tend to take that side if I wasn't there and I didn't see it with my own two eyes. But we got to see where the credible source is. So we can move on.
Okay, I just know that the commissioner, I just want to throw out, he's a dumbass for making this decision because, if anything, like you said, you got to give your players, like when they come into your leagues, NASCAR, NFL, NBA, hockey, when they come into the leagues, these players, they're putting a lot on the line. They risked a lot to get there. You have to give them at least some decimal of credibility on the fact that they're telling the truth. True, you may have somebody that's not, and somebody else could be telling the truth on this side. But, I mean, before you make a decision like that, I believe you have to let all the cards fall. Moving on, though, let's go ahead and talk about One Nut.
Yes, Lance Armstrong, legendary cyclist. He's being sued by his sponsors for $10 million. His sponsors are alleging the fact working with Lance, due to his cheating, has ruined their reputation.
Are you effing serious? How?
$10 million. Is that how the environment is in America today? Anytime I don't like something, I get $10 million and sue the motherfucker?
I would like to know how me cheating affected their reputation. I'm just saying if I were Lance. Because, I mean, I don't know who the sponsors are, but let's just say, for example, it's a bike sponsor or a clothing sponsor, shoes, helmets, or whatever else, energy drinks, energy bars, anything like that. How does any of that hurt your image? Because of the fact that this man, cheated. The fact is, the things that, he was promoting are items. It's not like, he's promoting, charities, that are like, well, because he cheated, now we're losing money. I mean, I don't understand how you can go ahead and try to get money back off something like that. This sounds like a bunch of greedy fucks.
I'm gonna give this one fuck and follow it up with frivolous lawsuit.
0 fucks.
We're gonna move on.
Double 0 frivolous. Fucks. 0 fucks right there. No fucks for you. You can't sue the one nut guy. The fucking dude is one nut. His cancer.
Frivolous lawsuits are us. We're gonna move on to television.
The
finale of 2.5 Men, 12 years, the series finale aired. Chuck Lorre teased the return of Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen did not return. The storyline involving Charlie Sheen was so asinine. I'm going to let Tex tell you a little bit about it.
Okay. So basically, it was a whole bait and switch. He wanted to go ahead and make you think that Charlie was coming back so you would go ahead and tune in, but then he didn't want to pay the money to get Charlie to come back, so he went ahead and replaced him with a stunt double. Now, the basic premise of the whole situation is that, he wasn't dead. And of course, you kind of figured that based off the fact that they didn't have the open casket. Aside from that, the crazy stalker bitch, apparently, that we've seen that he's been fucking around and he's chilling with and dealing with, Rose, apparently had him, had him captive, held as a prisoner in a well for like 4 years. Because, the bitch got money and she crazy. So, crazy people with money can do shit like that.
They got married and Charlie cheated. The first night married, he cheated with a mime, a goat, and a maid.
I saw a video of this foreign guy fucking a chicken the other day online. So I can only imagine the things. I heard stories about farmers in Scotland and sheep. So, I mean, a goat doesn't seem to be too far out there.
It was just that I watched 1 hour, and I think 5 minutes was the most I needed to see.
I mean, personally, I believe that the only way to end the show properly was to bring back Charlie Sheen. If you didn't do it, if you weren't going to do it, you shouldn't even had all the extra build up.
And then it featured a trifecta of 80 celebrities. Okay? This was just ridiculous. Arnold Schwarzenegger. John Stamos.
Right.
And Christian Slater. What the does this have to do with the 2.5 Men finale? Could you tell me?
Nothing.
What the fuck does Christian Slater have to do with...
It doesn't. I mean, now don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand that, John Cryer, was making movies around the time that they were. So, again, maybe it's an ode to him. And even an ode to Charlie because, he was making his movies in the 80s, too. So maybe they all have, like, this
John Stamos? What the fuck?
Okay, he was doing fucking Full House.
Yeah, I know.
He was touring with the Beach Boys, that's really all I can really say for Stamos. But, I mean, as a whole... I don't even, like you said, I don't see why you would even want to sow some bullshit like that.
I want to say,
and then make it seem like it's supposed to be cool. I mean,
Chuck,
Jake, motherfucking coming, being represented and presented as a millionaire now. I hate to say it, he's just as dumb with money as his daddy is. So we know that by marrying an Asian hooker, that he's fucking gonna be broke in a motherfucking very short amount of time. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't think that, even throws to go that anywhere. So, that they're ending this completely. They're, like, basically shutting down any option for any spinoff at all. They're
actually,
like,
you're wrong.
We're just going to close this door.
You're very much wrong. Chuck Lorre announced that there will be the spinoff, the John Cryer spinoff.
Now, I fuck with John Cryer,
the Harpers.
I don't think, but I don't, with who? With who? Him and Ashton and their little gay son?
Him and...
Nobody's going to want to watch that shit.
Him and the chick from Melrose Place, the one that he's been on again, off again for the last 5
Nobody's
years.
going to want to watch that shit because she's a bitch. She's a fucking bitch. A selfish fucking bitch. No one wants to see that shit. It's bullshit. That's why we stopped watching before. That's why they brought on Ashton. That's why they brought on Jamie Lee Preston. That's why they brought on Miley Cyrus. That's why they brought on all these other motherfuckers because she's a bitch.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just telling you what Chuck Lorre said.
That's why the original wife, they had to let her go. She was a bitch. The fucking Charlie's first fiance, was it Mia? Bitch. The second one, bitch. They keep getting these motherfuckers. They keep turning into bitches for some reason.
It's the writing.
God, y'all need to stop all these bitches. Maybe it's because of the mother. The mother's a bitch too. But anyway,
we got to
moving on.
Saturday Night Live, the 40th anniversary special aired recently. It was a big hype. Eddie Murphy returned to SNL for the first time since 1984, since he was a cast member. So Chris Rock came on, gave him a wonderful introduction, talked about he's a legend. All the comics today wish they were him. Eddie comes out. He says, I want to thank you guys. It was like going back to high school. You guys made my career. And he left.
Right.
And there's stories later on from the comics that were there saying, well, Lorne Michaels offered him a skit to play Bill Cosby. And Eddie said, I don't want to shit on Bill Cosby. So Lorne Michaels said, okay, well, you're just going to say hello and leave.
Okay.
So what do we think about that?
I mean, honestly, I applaud Eddie for taking the higher ground, that upper road. I mean, a lot of people have, taken their shots and shit on Bill Cosby, including us. And,
yeah, I did.
We want to throw it out there that, what's going on with Bill, it's interesting, it's funny as far as an entertainment standpoint, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that, Eddie knows Bill on a more personal level than we do. And so, again, that him doing that probably would have done more than Keenan doing it.
But then Keenan did it anyway.
Keenan's been doing, his Cosby ever since, all that. So, it's kind of like, one of his bits. So, I mean, to be honest, I believe it might have been set up that Keenan probably was going to try to do the bit anyway, and it was only the fact that Eddie was coming back that they wanted him to do it. Because here's the thing, how are you going to have Eddie playing Cosby, number one? You think Eddie's going to shave his mustache to play Cosby? That's number one. That's number one right there. Is Eddie going to shave his mustache to play Cosby?
And he would have to put on he'd have to put on a fat suit because Eddie's still slim.
And that's the other thing too. Eddie doesn't mind putting on the fat suits and playing it up, but here's the other thing too. To go ahead and basically, and Eddie knows what it's like to have your name smeared through the media based off sex scandals.
The tranny.
Not just scandals or things, but sex scandals.
And
having your personal life put out there.
The Spice Girl. He had the kid with the Spice Girl, scary, and he never mentioned it. He acted like he didn't hit it when he did.
And so the thing is, it's like Eddie went ahead and took the true gents way out, and I salute him for that. You know what I'm saying? Keenan, I'm not mad at you because Keenan's still working, to get himself, where Eddie is. Like Chris said, everybody's always been compared to Eddie Murphy when you are a comedian of color.
Chris Rock even
especially African American. Yeah.
Chris said on the show, Kevin Hart is not the new Eddie Murphy. Now, you can watch that. Don't take my word for it. Watch the tape.
I mean, and that's what it is. I mean, but the thing is like, there's never going to be another Bill Cosby. There's never going to be another Eddie Murphy. There's never going to be another Richard Pryor. Never another Red Fox or Rudy Ray Moore. There's so many.
There's not.
But the thing is, everybody, can, get their own particular version and way to, to bring it about. And the thing is, Lorne Michaels is the asshole for this, not Eddie Murphy. Because yes, Eddie Murphy did a lot of skits that back in, his time were considered to be controversial. And now they'd be considered funny. We'd be looking back. We'd be calling them nostalgic. But the thing is, if you're not going to come up with something new for Eddie, if you're not going to incorporate him into the new stuff, because I think about it, if Sandler were to come back, are you going to have Sandler, putting on the dress like he did with him, Spade and Farley?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And doing that whole bit?
To be fair, Lorne did not work for Saturday Night Live for 5 years. Okay, he created the show.
Right.
Between 80 and 85, he was not a producer. The head of NBC produced. Those are the years that Eddie Murphy was there. They don't know each other. Lorne and Eddie were never partners in a working relationship. Ever.
So that's his fault.
When Eddie left, Lorne had just come back. They never knew each other. They never hung out and wrote. So,
again, but he saw, like I said, you might not be there, but you're able to see, you're able to hear, you're able to read. You know what Saturday Night Live is doing.
That's right.
And so, Lorne, this is your fault. Eddie could have been amazing on this. This could have been just a wonderful...
The comeback.
Yeah. I mean,
he could have set up his comedy tour after
either for Eddie or for Saturday Night Live. But the thing is like you shortchange yourself by shortchanging Eddie, by basically saying that you wanted. I mean, and I don't. We only have this story that it was this Cosby skit, but again. I don't know what else it could have been, but by you, basically saying that, if you don't do the Cosby skit, you're just saying hello and leave, and, you basically, cut you cut off your nose to spite your face. Because Eddie's still going to get money. And unfortunately, I mean, as long as he stops putting on fat suits and stop making movies like 1,000 words, gets back to doing funny stuff, he's going to be fine.
Look, if he would have went up there and just said, I would have loved it. Even Chris Rock said, we wanted a hot 5 minutes from Eddie.
That's
Ignite his career. Go up there and do 5 minutes in front of a captive audience. They had 30 million people watching this.
Yeah.
The highest rated episode of SNL ever.
I mean, Eddie could have said anything at all, and we would have loved it. And the thing is, whether, like I said, Lauren, this is all Lauren's bad. But again, this isn't Lauren's movie, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the final segment that we have today. We're not going to do a games today because there haven't been any game releases that we're feeling like talking about or anything that we've really played on particularly. But what we are going to go ahead and jump on to is actually in regards for the movies. Yes. So I'm going to throw out just a few movies that, if you haven't seen them, I think you should go see them. If you haven't seen them, I think you shouldn't go see them. And, just go ahead and work with that. The first movie I want to talk about is Hot Tub Time Machine 2. I definitely think anybody who has seen the first one should go see the second one. If you haven't seen the first one, I still think you should still go see the second one. The cast in this movie is amazing together. So, I can imagine, they've done, other stuff, collaborated with other movies before. But it's like, I mean, these four guys together, got a real cohesive spirit, that I think is real good. And adding, I forgot his last name. But anyway, the new guy that they added for this one here. Instead of John Cusack, they got the guy from Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
The white guy. Yeah. So I think he's a real good addition to it because I didn't like him at first, but seeing him in Step Brothers and in Parks and Recreation, he's a real funny guy. So it's going to be a really, really funny movie. Rob Corddry is funny, and Craig is always he's amazing. He's a real funny guy.
That's awesome.
The next movie is Paddington. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, this is gonna get a big no from me. I grew up reading Paddington, the books. And even briefly the Paddington cartoon, I watched it as a child. And I can tell you, there's no way that you're going to be able to incorporate this into a movie, especially live action, because Ted has already came out.
Well, so does Garfield and
Chipmunks. No. That's a cat, and those are chipmunks. We're talking about a live action bear. See, the thing is, Paddington should, or let me rephrase this. Nobody's going to give a shit about Paddington Bear. Because Ted came out. The only way that people would have gave a fuck about Paddington Bear is if the first live-action bear movie that they would have came out with, which was my suggestion and nobody listened to me, would have been I forgot his name now. Teddy Ruxpin.
Oh yeah.
A live action Teddy Ruxpin movie. I went ahead and pitched that a long time ago. Nobody wanted to listen to it. But if they would have did a live action Teddy Ruxpin movie, then it would have been, okay, we got this live action bear. Then Ted would have came along. And it would have been funny, but people would have been like, we've seen live action bears, so they wouldn't have gave it so much credit. So now when Paddington comes out, they're able to compare it among the three, as opposed to with this one being, with Ted being that first one, you know what I'm saying, and being ranking so big, now you put out Paddington, it's going to look so small in comparison. The only way that you're going to be able to correlate between all of that is you're going to have to throw out other live-action bear movies. Now, they didn't do very well with the Yogi Bear movie as a whole, so that doesn't count. But again, in that regard, you're going to have to look at, it's for kids too. This is for kids. You have to look at Little Bear. You're going to either come out with Little Bear or you're going to have to come out with Teddy Ruxpin. But Paddington Bear isn't it.
I'll say the only thing that would probably get the people is the soundtrack. Gwen Stefani and Pharrell. And it was a pretty big year last year for them. They're on the soundtrack, and I think they might actually be in the movie. Good luck for that, but...
I think white people will love it, but I mean, as a whole, I don't think anybody should really go see the movie, you know?
Okay.
Sorry. The next movie is Get Hard. Now, this movie has Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart. And again, it's basically... if you know about the Wedding Ringer, you know Kevin Hart's basically playing, you know, pretending to be best friends with these guys, you know, to be the best man. Like I said earlier, kind of like, you know, his Hitch movie. Well, this movie, Get Hard, is basically Will Ferrell's about to go to jail, and Kevin Hart's basically showing him how to, you know, to get tough and, you know, preparation for his time there. Now, I haven't, you know, of course, seen the movie, but I think it's going to be, you know, an amazingly hilarious, funny movie. It looks funny because of Will Ferrell. Number one, Will Ferrell only makes funny movies. Usually, you say usually. Even the one movie,
A Night at the Roxbury was funny.
Actually, yeah, it was. I mean, him and Chris Kattan had, you know, really great humor. There was the movie he did where it was supposed to be the narration was going on. I didn't see that one. But, I mean, to be honest, I still believe that was going to be a funny movie.
Even Curious George that he was in, he played the man with the yellow hat. That was funny. I'll give you that.
I mean, Will Ferrell is amazing. Kevin Hart, very funny talent, amazing guy. And I believe that, when you put him with Will Ferrell, just the two of them together, I would love to see just the outtakes of that movie alone. So I believe it's going to be hilarious, and you need to go check out Get Hard. As soon as that comes available, go check that out. The next movie I'm saying that everybody needs to go check out is the one I'm touting as, you know, Short Circuit 2015, and that's the movie Chappie. And basically, you know, if you remember Short Circuit, you know, Johnny Five and all that, then essentially, you know, it's an updated version of that. If you haven't seen it, it's basically, you know, robot becomes, you know, self-aware, so on and so forth, and starts to, you know, to function, you know, in our society, in our life, and goes through a particular adventure. You know, I don't want to give it away, but it's an amazing movie. You know, I think, you know, again, definitely go ahead and go check that out.
Definitely.
All right. Now, the last thing that we're going to go ahead and end off with today is in regards to the Razzies. A lot of people don't know what they are, but the Razzies are actually awards that are given to the worst movies.
The worst movies of the year. And among them this year, the Ninja Turtle remake, Transformers 4, and Annie.
Okay.
Now, we saw the Ninja Turtles. We talked about it in their end-of-year recap.
Right.
Transformers 4, you said Marky Mark kind of underperformed.
I wasn't impressed with that. I mean, to be honest, I actually stopped watching it. You know, I plan to watch it again at some point in time, but the storyline itself in Transformers 4 didn't hold it for me. So, I could definitely see that making the list. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles making that list, I don't see that. As far as special effects go and things of that nature, I believe that this movie was better than the previous one. But as far as deviating from the story, I believe that it could make it closer to this list. But I don't think it should have made the list as one of the worst movies of the year.
Okay.
Annie. I have not seen Annie. I believe Jamie Foxx is a very talented singer.
Yeah.
I know originally that Willow Smith was supposed to play Annie, and when I said that if she did, I was not going to watch the movie. I've never heard of the little girl that plays Annie. I don't believe that an unknown or a relative unknown in Jamie Foxx were going to be enough to make this movie what it needed to be, unless it were hip-hop themed.
Now, what about Cameron Diaz?
Because it wasn't hip-hop themed, it didn't do what it was supposed to do. Because when you get the black people involved in these classic remakes, people want to see that urban flair and spin to it. Like when you know The Wiz was done, you know, people wanted to see, you know, they got that urban flair, they wanted to see that.
Honeymooners.
So going forward with anything, it was alright.
I enjoyed it.
It was good.
Maybe I just enjoyed it because Leguizamo was in it.
Maybe
I'm a mark for Leguizamo. He's a great guy, you know.
But as a whole, you know, and that was the thing. I mean, I don't think, you know, just based off the previews that there was going to be enough urban flair in there in order for it to capture the big, you know, audiences. I don't, you know, with like Frozen. I'll take Frozen for example. When a movie hits, you know, songs off the soundtrack, you know, go. And the thing is, as soon as it hit and there were no hits off the soundtrack, that meant that there were no original songs that were amazing, and there were no, you know, songs that were on the soundtrack, you know, that were, you know, amazing at that time. And so, you know, we have to look at it too, that if it's not visually appealing, if it's not cinematically appealing, if it doesn't appeal to our urban sensibilities, black people aren't going to support it. And that was the reason why it didn't do well. White people may have went out to see it, but black people didn't want to go see Jamie Foxx pretending to be a white man.
Because it wasn't a hard knock life this time around.
Not at all. It would have been much better, honestly, if they would have had Jay-Z and Will Smith. But anyway.
The Jigga Man.
Yeah. We do want to thank you again for joining us for another episode again of Are You Effing Serious? Once again, I'm your host, Tex.
I'm JC.
And until next time, Godspeed.